You know people who inspire fanatical loyalty, who have followers willing to sacrifice everything for them, who command a devotion so intense it seems almost irrational. And you? You can barely get people to keep the basic promises they made to you. Your employees do the bare minimum. Your colleagues only have your back when it's convenient. Your friends show up when they need something, but vanish when you need them. Your relationships are transactional, temporary, conditional. Meanwhile, you watch other people build empires of loyalty around them. People who create bonds so strong they survive betrayals, failures, and radical changes in circumstances. Who get others to defend their interests even when they're not present. Who inspire genuine sacrifice and lasting devotion. And you ask yourself, what the hell are these people doing that I'm not? What secret do they know that I don't? How do they get others to care so much about them? The answer will shock you with its simplicity and disturb you with its psychological depth. There is only one tactic, a single strategy that Niccolo Machiavelli identified as capable of creating loyalty so absolute it survives any test. So deep, it becomes part of the loyal person's identity. So lasting it persists even after the death of the one who inspired it. In just a few minutes, I will reveal this exact tactic to you. The method that Machiavelli observed in the most powerful leaders in history, tested in the most extreme situations of Renaissance politics, and codified as the only reliable path to genuine and permanent devotion. Pay attention. Once you understand and apply this tactic, you will never again be dependent on the temporary goodwill of people, and you will never again be surprised by the disloyalty of those you trusted. But first, I need to destroy a fatal illusion you hold about loyalty. You believe loyalty comes from being good to people, don't you? That if you are kind, fair, generous, and respectful, people will naturally become loyal to you. That kindness breeds gratitude, and gratitude breeds loyalty. This isn't just wrong, it's psychologically impossible. The brutal truth about human nature is that people don't become loyal to those who are merely good to them. They become loyal to those they perceive as essential to their survival, identity, or future well-being. Kindness creates temporary appreciation. Justice creates conditional respect. Generosity creates fleeting gratitude. But absolute loyalty comes from only one source: deep psychological dependence combined with transformational gratitude. Let me take you inside the moment that definitively revealed this truth to Machiavelli. In Cesena, 1502, Machiavelli was observing Cesare Borgia, known as Il Valentino, one of the most feared and hated men in Italy. Borgia had just conquered the city through extreme brutality, executing local leaders and plundering property. The population despised him with a visceral intensity. Any other conqueror would have maintained control through continuous fear, military garrisons, and constant repression. Borgia did something that shocked even Machiavelli. He identified the most brutal man in his forces, Ramiro de Orco, who had been responsible for the worst atrocities during the conquest. Then, one December morning, Borgia had Ramiro publicly executed in the central square of Cesena, not for treason or incompetence, but as a sacrifice for the crimes committed against the people. Next, Borgia implemented a system of impeccable justice. He restored stolen property. He established prosperous trade. He created absolute security. And whenever someone thanked him for these improvements, he would reply, "You suffered unjustly under my previous command. It was my responsibility to correct these errors." In less than 6 months, the same population that had mortally hated him had become fanatically loyal to him. They didn't just accept his rule. They defended it against external critics, fought voluntarily in his wars, and treated any threat to Borgia as a personal threat to themselves. What happened wasn't magic. It was the precise application of the only tactic that creates absolute loyalty. The tactic is the cycle of redemption through salvation. You first allow or create a situation where the person experiences genuine suffering or a real threat. Then, you appear as the savior who not only removes the suffering but offers something better than what they had before. Finally, you position yourself as the permanent protector against the return of that suffering. This works because it taps into the most primitive psychological instincts of the human being. The person is not just grateful for the salvation, they become terrifyingly dependent on you to maintain their safety and well-being. And this combination of deep gratitude with existential dependency creates emotional bonds that are almost impossible to break. But here's the part that most people don't understand. You don't have to create the initial suffering. In fact, it is more effective and ethical if you don't. Instead, you wait for natural situations where people you want as allies are facing genuine difficulties. Then you intervene so dramatically and effectively that they come to see you as literally indispensable. The key is timing, intensity, and exclusivity. Timing means you intervene at the exact moment of greatest desperation, when they need help the most and expect it the least. Intensity means your intervention goes far beyond what would be necessary or expected. You don't just solve the problem, you transform the entire situation. Exclusivity means you become the only reliable source of this protection and benefit. They realize that no one else would or could do what you did. Let me show you how this works in modern situations. In a corporate situation, your coworker is about to be fired for a mistake that wasn't entirely their fault. Everyone knows they are being set up as the scapegoat to protect the manager who really caused the problem. The application of the tactic is this. Instead of just expressing sympathy or offering references, you go to the board with detailed evidence proving their innocence and exposing the true cause of the problem. You risk your own political standing to save them, and when they keep their job, you become someone who literally saved their career. The result is that they are not just grateful. They become psychologically bound to you as the person who was willing to sacrifice for their protection. That is loyalty that will last for decades. In a personal situation, your friend is going through a traumatic divorce where her ex-husband is using superior resources to try to take custody of the children through questionable legal tactics. The application of the tactic is this. Instead of just offering emotional support, you mobilize your network to connect her with the best family lawyer in the city. Organize a fund among mutual friends to pay the legal costs, and personally ensure she has all the practical help needed during the process. The result is that you didn't just help, you saved her life and her children's future. This creates an emotional bond that goes beyond normal friendship and enters the territory of genuine devotion. In a business situation, your main client is facing a financial crisis that could destroy their company. Other suppliers are canceling contracts and demanding immediate payment. The application of the tactic is this. Instead of just protecting your own interests, you offer extended payment terms, connect them with potential investors from your network, and even offer personal guarantees to help them keep critical operations running. The result is that when the company survives and thrives again, you become much more than a supplier. You become an indispensable partner they will never want to lose. But here is where most people completely fail when trying to apply this tactic. The first mistake is making the intervention seem calculated or self-serving. If the person perceives you are trying to create dependency, the psychological effect is completely destroyed. Your motivation must appear purely altruistic, even if you have strategic benefits in mind. The second mistake is not going far enough beyond what is normal or expected. Ordinary help creates ordinary gratitude. Only extraordinary intervention creates extraordinary loyalty. The third mistake is not positioning yourself as a continuous protector after the initial salvation. If you save someone once but then act as if the favor is settled, you lose the opportunity to create lasting dependency. The fourth mistake is trying to use this tactic with too many people simultaneously. Genuine salvation requires significant resources, time, energy, social capital, or money. If you dilute your efforts, no intervention will be dramatic enough to create the desired effect. Let me teach you how to avoid these mistakes with a systematic approach. To ensure your motivation seems genuine, you must choose people you actually care about or respect. It's impossible to fake genuine conviction for long periods. Only help people who, regardless of strategic benefits, you would like to see succeed. To ensure sufficient intensity, your intervention must cost you something significant. Time, money, comfort, security, or opportunities. If it doesn't hurt you to help, it won't create the necessary psychological impact on the person being helped. To position yourself as a continuous protector, you must create systems where your ongoing help is natural and necessary. Don't just solve a crisis and disappear, but establish a relationship where your guidance, resources, or protection are ongoing necessities. To focus properly, choose a maximum of 2 or 3 people per year to apply this tactic. It is better to create 2 or 3 devoted allies than 10 grateful acquaintances. Now let me show you the specific signs that indicate when someone is ready to become loyal through salvation. They are facing a threat that could destroy something fundamental to them: career, family, security, reputation, or important dreams. They have tried to solve the problem on their own and failed, creating a sense of helplessness and desperation. They do not have sufficient resources, financial, social, or skills, to handle the situation adequately. They are being abandoned by people they expected to help them, creating a sense of isolation and betrayal. They are genuinely good people who do not deserve the suffering they are facing, making intervention morally satisfying for you. When you identify a situation with these characteristics, here is exactly how to apply the tactic. First, you assess if you have the real resources to make a significant difference. Do not offer help you cannot deliver. Broken promises destroy credibility permanently and create resentment instead of loyalty. Second, you make your intervention in a way that maximizes the contrast between their previous desperation and their current relief. The person needs to feel, viscerally, the difference between where they were and where you took them. Third, you never mention what benefits you might receive from their loyalty. Your motivation must appear purely based on care for the person or moral principles. Fourth, you ensure that your intervention is known by other important people in their social or professional circle. This amplifies the psychological impact and creates social pressure for reciprocity. Fifth, you establish a pattern of continuous availability without being intrusive. They need to know they can count on you in the future, but without feeling like you are expecting constant repayment for the favor. Let me give you a complete example of how this sequence works. The situation is this. Your mentee is being sabotaged by jealous colleagues who are spreading rumors about his incompetence. He is losing confidence, considering leaving the company, and clearly doesn't know how to defend himself against office politics. Your resource assessment. You have a solid reputation in the company, relationships with leadership, and knowledge about who is spreading the rumors and why. Your maximized intervention is as follows. Instead of just giving advice or reassurance, you go directly to the people spreading the rumors and present concrete evidence of his excellent work. You publicly endorse his competence in an important meeting. You arrange for him to receive a high-visibility project that allows him to demonstrate his abilities. And you privately warn the perpetrators that continued sabotage will be escalated to HR with the documentation you've kept. For your altruistic positioning, when he thanks you, you say something like, "I can't stand to watch talented people be undermined by the insecurity of others. You deserve the opportunity to succeed based on merit." For social amplification, you ensure that other people know you defended him, creating a reputation as someone who protects people who are unfairly attacked. For continuous availability, you establish a routine where you check in with him periodically, offer ongoing mentorship, and make it clear that you're available if similar problems arise. The result is that in a few months, he not only recovers from the sabotage, he thrives under your protection, and the psychological bond created by the salvation experience means he'll be loyal to you for decades. Whenever he gains power or influence, you automatically benefit because he sees his success as an extension of your investment in him. But here is the crucial insight that most people miss. The loyalty created by this tactic is not just an emotional attachment, it is an existential dependency. The person comes to see you as integral to their safety, success, and identity. They don't just like you, they need you on a fundamental level. This happens because the salvation experience rewires their brain's assessment of their own capabilities versus your capabilities. They experienced helplessness followed by your competence, isolation followed by your support, despair followed by your intervention. Those contrasts create a psychological imprint that persists long after the initial crisis. Additionally, when you save someone spectacularly, you become part of their personal narrative. They tell the story of their recovery, and you are always the hero of that story. Each time they tell it, the psychological bond strengthens. Most importantly, they become invested in maintaining a relationship with you, because losing your protection feels like returning to the vulnerability that you rescued them from. This is why loyalty created through salvation persists even when circumstances change dramatically. Even if you make mistakes later, even if other opportunities arise, even if external pressure mounts for them to abandon you, the psychological foundation created by the salvation experience overrides temporary considerations. Now, let me show you advanced applications of this tactic that go beyond individual crisis intervention. The first advanced application is the systematic creation of salvation opportunities through strategic positioning. Instead of waiting for crises to happen naturally, you position yourself to be the first person people think of when they need serious help. You do this by establishing a reputation as someone who has unique resources, connections, or capabilities that others lack. You become known as the person who can solve problems that others can't. The second advanced application is layered salvation, where you save the same person from multiple different crises over time. This creates a progressively deeper dependency because they experience a repeated pattern of vulnerability, followed by your intervention. Each salvation builds on the previous ones, creating a cumulative psychological effect that far exceeds the sum of individual rescues. The third advanced application is salvation through exclusive access or opportunities. Instead of rescuing people from negative situations, you elevate them to positive situations they couldn't access without you. This works especially well with ambitious people who are frustrated by a lack of advancement opportunities. The fourth advanced application is group salvation, where you save multiple people simultaneously from a shared threat. This creates not just individual loyalty, but collective loyalty, where the entire group sees you as their protector. This is the most powerful version because it creates mutual reinforcement. Each person's loyalty to you is strengthened by the other people's loyalty to you. But here's a crucial warning that you must understand. Use this tactic only with people you genuinely want to succeed and have long-term relationships with. Never save someone purely to create loyalty that you plan to exploit later. That's manipulation, not leadership. The real power comes from becoming a person whom others can truly depend on during their worst moments. When applied ethically, this tactic creates relationships based on genuine mutual benefit where their success enhances your success. Additionally, never underestimate the resources required for genuine salvation. Half-hearted attempts create resentment instead of loyalty. Only commit to a salvation intervention if you can follow through completely. Finally, remember that loyalty created through salvation comes with responsibility. These people will expect you to continue being the person they can count on. If you disappoint them after creating such deep dependency, the backlash can be severe. Now, let me give you specific language patterns you can use during salvation interventions to maximize the psychological impact. When approaching a person in crisis, you can say, "I can see you're dealing with something serious. I've been in similar situations, and I know how isolating it can feel. Would it be helpful if I shared some resources that might make a difference?" During the intervention, you can say, "This isn't just about solving the immediate problem. You deserve to have proper support systems in place, so this doesn't happen again. Let me show you some strategies that can prevent future issues." After a successful resolution, you can say, "I'm glad we could work through this together. Everyone deserves to have people in their corner when things get tough. Please remember that this type of support is always available to you." When establishing an ongoing relationship, you can say, "What we accomplished here shows what's possible when people support each other properly. I hope you'll always feel comfortable reaching out if similar challenges arise." These phrases accomplish several things simultaneously. They normalize seeking help, position you as an ongoing resource, create an expectation of reciprocity, and establish you as a person who operates from a position of strength and generosity. Your next opportunity to apply this tactic is coming sooner than you expect. Maybe someone in your workplace is struggling with a difficult project. Maybe a friend is facing a personal crisis. Maybe a family member needs an intervention that only you can provide. When that moment arrives, you'll have a fundamental choice. You can offer the same surface-level support you always have, creating temporary gratitude that fades quickly. Or you can apply Machiavelli's only tactic and discover what it feels like to inspire loyalty so deep it becomes a permanent part of how someone sees you. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. The people you save will trust you with their vulnerabilities, depend on you during their weakest moments, and expect you to be a consistent source of strength and wisdom. If you're ready to accept that responsibility ethically and genuinely, then you're ready to build the type of loyalty that most people only dream about inspiring. The choice is in your hands. The tactic is in your mind. The opportunity is coming to your door. Use it wisely. Save genuinely. Protect consistently. And discover what it means to be someone whom others would follow anywhere, because you proved you would sacrifice for them when it mattered most. Transform your understanding of human loyalty into lasting power through genuine service to others in their darkest hours. Master wisely.